Welcome to the Press Box, your number one sports information platform. I'm your host, C. Will. Today, we're going live with the live stream right after the Razorback game today. The Razorbacks just suffered another defeat, being their third straight defeat in the row this year, losing on the road or neutral site in Arlington, Texas, at Jerry's World to Texas A&M by the score of 34-22. So this loss to A&M marks the third straight loss by the Hogs this year, um, and it just seemed like the Hogs found a way to they let go of the rope. Uh, you know, they fought, and they fought. I mean, the guys fought. It's not an effort thing. The coaches did as good as they could do. So it's not even about blaming an individual for this loss. Um, the better team right now won the game, even though Texas A&M did make some mistakes, uh, which allowed us to hang around. But ultimately, right now, uh, they are better because they are, they know what they're doing out there. They have a great offensive mind in Bobby Petrino, calling plays, you know, taking control of their offense and decision making. And Razorback fans, we know that Bobby Petrino is as good as it gets, as great as it gets when it comes to offense. So once again, he sticks it to us to get a little bit of redemption for what happened to him while he was coaching here with the Razorbacks in Fayetteville. He coached last year at Missouri State, and they came to Fayetteville and came within maybe 4 or 5 minutes of actually winning the game as a 24-point underdog. So we know what he's all about. Um, you know, maybe not so much the coaching staff or even the athletic director, because I believe Jeff Long was the guy who decided to move away from Petrino. So Hunter Yurchik and the coaching staff, everybody's different, but the fans, we remember. And every time we see Petrino, we feel it because we know how great he is. And he's managed to show us um, both times we went up against him. So I know it hurts, definitely knowing that we had him with us. It's almost like ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, ex-relationship where you break up kind of messy and it was actually good, but something happened that just kind of made things sour. But I know that's how he takes it because he really, really did want to be in Fayetteville. So, but again, that's neither here nor there. But before we move further with this live stream, I want to make sure that I remind you to don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like our commentary. And if you do like our commentary, feel free to subscribe to our channel, the Press Box 247 here on YouTube, so you can get all of our quality Razorback content as we release it. Because today is going to be a great, great, great show with this type of information that I'm going to give. But before we get to the title um, pertaining to KJ Jefferson and his struggles, I want to talk a little bit about the game as far as like the things that went wrong. Basically, all the problems that we've struggled with all season. Not being able to run the ball, not being able to pass protect, not being good in short yardage situations, not being great in the red zone. Those are the things that we've been struggling with every single game. So naturally, when you play a really good team who's more sounder than you are in those areas on the big stage, the team that struggles with those things are gonna be the team that's gonna lose. So it's really no surprise to what happened today. The same struggles probably are going to continue to hunt the Razorbacks moving forward. So I just think that, we're in a tough spot with the schedule and how the schedule is shaping up. You have to go to Ole Miss. You have to go to Alabama. You have to play. Missouri's looking good this year. But the issues with us is our offensive line not being able to handle movement from the front seven. And even the teams like Florida, who's not great, they have a great defensive front. I guarantee you they have the talent to be able to cause us problems too, in the athleticism. Same as Auburn. Auburn is not great offensively, but they have a really good defensive front. And teams with good defensive fronts is going to cause us problems. So I don't know how this year is going to turn out. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not going to say that we're going to win them all either, because one thing is evident: we're halfway through the season almost, and we're still seeing the same struggles. So it's not going to be a snap of the finger type of fix. So let's go ahead and move on to the main topic of this podcast. To me, the reason why KJ Jefferson is struggling, the reason why the Arkansas Razorbacks offense is struggling, the reason why the Razorbacks offense are just having problems like functioning and not, missing mental assignments and stuff like that, is because you have a offense with a lot of players that have been, breaded to run the old offense of Kendall Briles. Kendall Briles is a great offensive coordinator. His creativity, the way that he calls plays, definitely separates him as one of the better play callers that we have in this college game. Him deciding to take another job, which that's a part of the game. I mean, he doesn't owe anybody anything, but KJ Jefferson, this was going to be his fourth year on the Hill, and 3 years into the system. So the system actually was tailored more towards KJ's abilities and strengths, and it was designed to take away from his weaknesses. Um, if you guys remember, the way that we ran offense with Kendall Briles was on the sidelines. Kendall Briles would have tape on his fingers, and he would hold certain fingers. He had different color tape wrapped around his fingers, and he would always get the signal with his hands. And you would see KJ looking to the sideline, getting the play in, and if he needed to change the play, like Kendall Briles was like, the person that he went to let him know what to do. So that's why it looked like he didn't throw that many interceptions, because the offense was set up to not put him in a lot of situations to where, he would throw. I mean, we all know he was a dual threat quarterback, which means that he wasn't a true pocket quarterback. Coming from his high school, he wasn't the type of quarterback that he's trying to play now in Dan Enos's pro style offense. A pro style offense is a different offense than what we was running. We was running more of a, I'm not going to say high school or college, but a lot of people run the spread look, making it look like you're going to pass, but it's more run out of the pass look. And when you did pass the ball, you still had the option to run, as they call them, run pass options, the RPOs. But when you run the pro offense, you have lesser run pass option, which means that when you're rolling out to throw, you have to throw. There's not a run option to the throw. So that makes a dual threat quarterback his whole life. Now he has to show that he's a true pocket quarterback. just like a true pocket quarterback can't be a dual threat quarterback. You know what I mean? So he's forced to actually have to learn how to be a different player after 4 years of doing it a whole nother way. And the loss of Briles, I think it hurt us in the short term because it's going to take time for them to transition over to Coach Enos's pro style offense. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking him because he's proven to be a great play caller as well. He has a good track record, even when he was at Arkansas a few 7 years ago with Coach Belima. I mean, he still has success, calling plays for us. So I think it's not that his offense stinks. I think that when you try to transition, and try to change over from something, sometimes it doesn't happen fast, especially when you're dealing with offense. There's a lot of small things. There's the details, the little things that you have to know, like knowing, when to make your breaks and the timing and all those things. It takes time. You can't just throw it together, in a summer and say, hey, we're going to go with a new coordinator and we still going to be just like we was last year, despite having the same players, but it's a different offense. So that was kind of confusing. It was confusing to a lot of people who tried to set Arkansas ceiling this year because you still saw the players, but they're not running the same thing that they ran with Coach Briles. Now, pass protection and our run blocking stinks, but these are most of the same linemen that you had in the system last year. So the players couldn't have gotten worse, just like you have to learn the cadences, the timing, which gap, which, man, the handling movements. The linemen probably need more time too, probably need more time than anybody. And I think that uh, we just thought that it'd be a smooth transition, or maybe Pittman just thought that, well, I'm a lineman coach. I think that we can accelerate that learning curve, the time that it's going to take to pick up your philosophy and to lose Kendall Briles' philosophy. It doesn't happen that way. Now, on the flip side, we went to a different defensive coordinator, and we actually the clock went quicker. We are a better defense than we were last year. Now, it's easier to go from bad to good overnight, but it's hard to maintain goodness, or greatness, I should say, because last year Arkansas's offense was great. It was, in terms of yardage, it was top 10. So now you bring in a new system, it's tough to maintain when your expectation is to maintain. The defense didn't have the expectation to be great, so it's easier to defy the odds when nobody thinks that you are supposed to. So I just think that it's nobody's fault today. It's nobody's fault that the transition happened. I mean, both coaches, Coach Barry Odom, he went to UNLV. He took another job. Now the odds of both coordinators leaving at the same time, I've never seen before, unless it was just a brand new coaching overhaul. But whatever caused the coaches to want to look elsewhere, I don't know, and I won't speculate. But that was a very unfortunate thing that took place last year. And us as fans, initially, we didn't really realize the impact of those losses. You don't just, move on with somebody different and just have the same success. So I think that what hurts the most, like if the program would have just told us that this year we're gonna continue to try to get better, but this is a transitional year because we have to pick up a new offense. And I know at the end of the year he's going to say this because it's the truth, but I think that they should have said it to the fans before the season started, because they was telling us and making it seem like that we was going to be good, despite all of this. And I think it's made a lot of fans' expectations much higher than what it really should be. You know, typically when you're in transition, I mean, you don't have a great year. Now, the bigger issue with that is, okay, last year was like that same year type of year. It was 7-6, and this year it could be worse. So maybe if last year would have been 9-4, then you can have a transitional year the year after, because you know that you were just up. Last year we kind of attributed to, okay, that was a transition, even though we still had the same leaders. But it's tough to duplicate mediocrity with an even worse season. So I don't know. I'm not saying that he need to leave or anything. That's not my job. I'm just giving my opinion, my honest opinion through observation. But getting back to KJ, he's not a pro style quarterback. Dan Enos, he likes to run the pistol set, and everything pretty much is made, in the pocket. There's not really much run action unless it's a design run play call, which they've been making a lot of. But the defense can stop design runs easier than they can stop undesigned runs. And the system that Kendall Briles had KJ in put him in situations to where he could improvise and get a lot of unscripted runs. I say unscripted because, you can have the right play on, but if he got you in a situation to where he got a guy open and he can throw, and you choose the guy that he's throwing to, I'm sorry, then he knows that he can run. So, but this offense is tailor made more for a Bryce Young, somebody that can sit back and just pick you apart. You know what I'm saying? KJ has never done that. And yes, I know he's having problems with the offensive line. I know he's not getting the running game, but the greatest quarterbacks really don't need much of anything. So we know that he's not great, but he's a great dual threat quarterback. So the team and the program decided to go another direction, which I think in the big picture in the future is going to be the best decision, because I believe in Dan Enos, and they also have a young quarterback, two young quarterbacks that were pretty good. Criswell, who is a true pocket quarterback, was a 4-star coming out of Morrilton. So I think he'll be a sophomore. So, and that'll be his second year running Enos's plays, which would be more time than what KJ had. So I can see it getting better. But for this year here, it may be another tough one for us fans. So we got to just accept what it is, and a lot of it isn't no one person fault. But KJ today, as far as like where he struggled with, was, to me, yes, the pressure was on him. They had 7 sacks, 15 tackles for a loss, so they were all over the place. But when you're dealing with a defense like that, you got to be great at your pre-snap reads, being able to read the defense before you hike the ball. You got to be able to see the safeties to know where you want to go with the ball, even if you are going to pass. You have to be able to read the cornerback's alignment and positioning and depth to see what matchups you want to go to. Then you have to read the defensive alignment to see if it's a shift to the strong side. Are they overloading to the strong, or are they overloading to the weak? You know what I'm saying? Are they blitzing? Where's the Mike linebacker? Are they bringing extra guys? I saw at least on 3 of his sacks to where the guy was on the edge and he didn't even, make any line adjustments, trying to tell the lineman or the running back or whoever that picks up the edge to block the guy. See, if you're going to be a pro quarterback, you have to, it's not just can you get yards or dropping back and can you throw the ball or being able to break out of sacks. That's great, but being a quarterback is actually being your work is actually supposed to be done before you actually hike the ball. And I think that he's not astute at reading defensive coverages as well as reading blitzes. So if you can't read blitzes and you got a bad offensive line and you're not getting a good running game out of it, then yes, it's not going to be much hope. Now, you know, Shadur Sanders, he's been sacked 25 times this year for Colorado, but he still make plays because he can read where it's coming from. And maybe on some of those blitzes, you might can make them pay. So that's what we have going on, and it's not going to change. This is fourth year playing. You don't turn into a pocket quarterback after 4 years. It is what it is. He's a phenomenal athlete. I appreciate everything that he's done, and he will have a lot of records when it's all said and done. So this is no disrespect towards him. I'm just breaking his abilities down, his strengths versus his weaknesses. And this offense doesn't tailor more towards his strengths. It actually it exposes more of his weaknesses. So yes, it's everybody's fault. It's everybody's fault. It's the line fault. It's the coordinator fault. It's also the quarterback's fault. The offense is in a bad place right now. So at the end of the day, we just got to just get through this process as fans, and hopefully they can get better this year, but they may not. And we might have to start thinking about the future. But if they can keep the quarterbacks that we got, there's no doubt in my mind that we will be better in Coach Enos' offense than we are now. So again, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, because if you heard all this video, you know you like it, because nobody listens this long to something that they don't like. So go ahead and give your boy a thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe to the Press Box, because we give you good takes such as this all the time. So we don't want you to miss anything. So again, tough loss today in Jury's World by the Razorbacks to the Texas A&M Aggies, again by the score of 34-22. So the Hawks dropped to 2-3, and next week they'll take on Ole Miss. So make sure you stay tuned to our channel, and be on the lookout for all the reports. And also go ahead and hit us up on our website at www.pressbox.net. And we have a lot of stories that we're going to be putting out as well. So that's all I have today. Make sure y'all tune in and be safe. Go Hawks. Still.